Talking about improving performance, as a PT, you also deal with pain. So when we were talking about creating the system for sports muscle technology, we wanted to address that, people around the world are in pain, whether that's physical pain from an injury or whether that's just pain because they're not reaching a mental goal that they have set. And how do we fix that pain? And that's kind of the goal of sports muscle technology, is to address that as well.
Right. We're kind of like the bridge between the gaps in pain and performance, right? And as a physical therapist, that's really what I see most of the time, right? Is somebody's coming to see me because they're actually in pain, or they haven't figured out this gap that they have, and it's causing them a pain and where they're not improving the way that they want to. Right? And I see that over and over and over again. And then when I break this stuff down and explain it to athletes particularly, they're like, this just makes sense, right? Why hasn't anybody ever told me this before, right? Why hasn't anybody ever shown me this system? It's been underground for so long, right? And now we're here to, get it out there for everybody, right? Yeah, it's super exciting.
I think we could all share the frustration of, being on a program or sticking to a diet, and we're just not seeing the results that we want. And, that all comes back to, assessing yourself and getting these baseline readings. And that's really what the system is about at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, and when it comes to improving athleticism, right, it's pretty tricky. When we're seeing a lot of, especially on social media, which Taylor knows makes me crazy, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are moving in this direction. They're just missing parts of the equation. And primarily for me, as all this experience in physical therapy, a lot of it, as like I said in the beginning, they're trying to add physical therapy stuff, corrective exercises and these things into the performance training, but they don't quite understand it. Right? They miss, one of the main things. And one of those main things is that in physical therapy, we're really working on the neuromuscular system, right? And not just on the structure. So that requires a different mindset and how somebody's working on their muscle memory and ultimately their skill acquisition and these movement skills. So in most of my career, especially being an ex-college athlete and wrestling, playing baseball and football, I really wanted to understand what it took to return an athlete after an Achilles tendon rupture, or particularly ACL tears, which is what I specialized in. How do you return them back to a high level of function? And that's why I ended up doing my residency at the University of Cincinnati. And what it ended up coming down to, and as I go through my career, I get more and more and more understanding of this, which I think some people understand this, but most people don't, especially in the physical therapy world, is that athletic movements are really plyometric movements, right? And when we think of plyometric movements, we're thinking about these rapid change of directions, jumping and throwing and whatnot. So when you specialize in returning an athlete, from an injury like that and a surgery like that to sports, what you're really doing is preparing them for plyometrics, right? And ultimately, if their body is not prepared to handle plyometrics and athletic movements, they're going to get re-injured, right? And then we also see on the high level, right, when we look at high level elite performance, the high level plyometrics that are done, right? We think and we talked about this, when I think of plyometrics, I think, what are the best ways to improve athletic performance, right? Plyometrics, right? But a lot of people think, oh my gosh, that's really risky, right? Because they don't understand quite how to prepare people, right? And progress them towards those high level plyometrics. And that's where sports muscle technology comes in, right? It's really designed to bridge that gap and allow us to intervene and prepare people's bodies for plyometrics, and then also train them on the high level plyometric.
If you found this content helpful, please do us a favor and follow us on YouTube, hit that like button, and comment if you have any questions.